Hello Serie A fan, the sports packages have been purchased, the beers are in the cooler, and the Scudetto crew are back to hype up the competition. But after the highs of Italy's Euro win, has the departure of the league's biggest stars taken the shine off the season? We answer that question and preview the clash of the new gaffers on this episode of Scudetto. Hello Serie A fan, and welcome back to another season of Scudetto. For those of you who are new listeners, Scudetto is a weekly podcast covering all of the drama in the top flight Italian league, Serie A. And we are three friends meeting up once a week to have a civilized beer and talk about all of this nonsense. So I'll introduce myself first. I'm Oscar. I'm the least qualified pundit on this podcast. My Italian football credentials are basically just doing a podcast about it for a year and picking stuff up off these guys. But I'll let them tell you their own credentials. Kenny, you want to go first?
Wow, I knew that we were going to do like a little bit of an intro for new listeners, but I didn't realize we were going for the credentials thing all over again. Yes, so I grew up in Italy as an Atalanta fan, basically, and yeah, been following Italian football for all of my life, really. So I'm not going to say how many years that is, but I'll give you a hint.
Years.
It is around about the same length of time that a player had not moved from one red-coloured Roman club to another Roman club.
Okay, well, we might get to that a bit later, actually. It's quite topical. Yeah, I should also mention we're now scattered around Europe. So Kenny coming to us from Edinburgh, I believe. You're still in Edinburgh, aren't you?
I am still in Edinburgh, yes.
Yeah, I'm in Helsinki and Boaz in Tel Aviv. You want to give us a quick reminder of who you are and
my credentials? I am the podcast's AC Milan fan, and I grew up in Italy. I spent most of my childhood there, and I had a season ticket for Milan in the glory days of the early 90s, as well as towards the turn of the century, which was also a very glorious period.
Yeah, and hopefully on the dawn of a new glorious era. But...
To be fair, I also put up with having a season ticket between 96 and 98, which is two of the worst years any Serie A team has ever put up.
You've done your suffering, done your time. Okay, so regular listeners will know, and I've just told new listeners that we do a civilized beers section. So boys, I hope you've got your beers prepared for the new season. Boaz, you want to go first this time? What have you got?
I've got a Pondera West Coast IPA, which is a collaboration between Formbridge and Firestone Walker Brewing Company, and it's very nice.
Good news. And how about you, Kenny?
Yes, I've got myself a Fine Ales Farm Brewery, is obviously the name of the brewery, and it's an Easy Trail Session IPA. I haven't opened it yet, but I'm just about to do so, and I'll give you an update, I guess, later on.
Look forward to hearing.
What have you got, Oscar?
Well, I've got you both beat this week, I have to say, because this one caught my eye in a Finnish supermarket. From the lovely people at the Punikin Brewing Company, we have a mango watermelon milkshake IPA. Haven't tried it yet.
I'm not sure those things have ever gone together before, really.
No. I've just popped it. It doesn't look that milky.
The wrong podcast, by the way.
Yeah, it's I can't really taste any of those things in it, to be honest, but maybe it sort of grows on you. I'll update you later on. Anyway, we should talk about the football because it's been a kind of turning point, a sort of monumental summer for Italian football. Obviously, we covered the Euros victory in detail. Seems to be returning to kind of mainstream consciousness across Europe, and all of the other big teams in the other big leagues seem to have noticed that there's a lot of talent in Serie A and they're poaching all the players. So my question for you guys is, do we think Serie A is going to be a worse league this season as a result? Obviously, there's a lot more awareness about the league, potentially more kind of sponsor interest, but we've seen lots of big names leaving. Obviously, Lukaku to Chelsea, Hakimi Donnarumma to PSG, Romero's gone to Spurs, De Paul to Atleti, like just on the player side, and obviously Conte not in the league anymore. What do we think the effect of this is going to be, Kenny?
So I'm going to let Kenny answer this first, but I wanted to add that you said it was a fantastic summer for Italian football, but it's not really the subject matter for this podcast, but it's been a fantastic summer for Italian sports as a whole.
Absolutely.
medal haul at the Olympics was an all-time best, and obviously they got the 100 meters and the 400 meters rally, and I was particularly emotional about the high jump gold medal, which I think was one of the best moments in any Olympics. So I just wanted to interject that overall it's nice to be an Azzurri fan this summer.
Yeah, and you were also particularly emotional about the Eurovision as well, I remember.
I have to say I was more interested in the Eurovision than the Olympics. It kind of completely passed me by that the Olympics was even on until nearly the end. So not the right guy for that. But anyway, sorry, Kenny.
No, do I think that the Italian league is worse? I actually don't. I think that undoubtedly the Italian league's lost some of its biggest stars, and that is a big blow. For me, when I say the biggest stars, I'm talking about Donnarumma and Lukaku, really best goalkeeper in the league and the best player in the league last season. That's going to be a blow to any league. But what I think we have going into this season is genuinely it's anyone's title race. I think that Milan have slightly improved on where they were last season. They've got a genuine, it appears from the preseason friendlies, they've got a genuine backup to Zlatan or potentially partner to Zlatan. They appear to have brought in a very capable replacement for Donnarumma. Inter, while I think Inzaghi will do a good job, and while they have recruited well, as you said, they've lost two of the biggest stars in the league. So I think they've gone back a little bit. I think Juventus have, just having Allegri coming back, I think will be like a shot in the arm to them. They'll also, of course, have Dybala, who last year had like all sorts of a nightmare. It seems like he's right back into the fold. So hopefully his troubles are behind him. And Atalanta, who knows, they might do what they did again. I think really it's like anyone's race this year. We've got like 5 or 6 clubs that could realistically win this thing. So I think it's going to be an incredibly exciting season. So no, not really. I think yes, and no one wants to lose their top stars, but I don't think the league's going to be worse. I think it's going to be fantastic entertainment.
Yeah, you're right to highlight the managers that have come in. Actually, there's quite a lot of box office kind of talent in there, isn't there? With Sarri back and Mourinho back. It's we'll talk more about that later, but it's bound to be some interesting narratives. What do you make of it, Baz? Do you agree with Kenny?
I agree with most, if not everything that Kenny mentioned. I think that yes, in the form of Donnarumma and Lukaku, the league has lost some genuine superstars, and perhaps more so the Inter attacker, because he was so crucial to the whole way the team played, and also because by all accounts he seemed to be dead set on staying in Italy for another year. But obviously the Chelsea sirens / money loads really helped him change his mind. I think that as a whole, the league once again will show that teams play collectively very well, and that there's a lot of great football on display. Last year it was Atalanta and Sassuolo who were at the forefront, and perhaps Sassuolo are kind of, we're not sure what's going to happen with them because obviously De Zerbi's left. But I think, as a little bit as Kenny mentioned again, it's anyone's league this year, and that to me is a really exciting proposition, and will definitely keep people logging in or tuning in however they consume their football, as long as one team doesn't run away with it, which fortunately didn't happen until very late last season.
Yeah, you've both given very positive answers, so I think we should just give our listeners a taste of what we're most excited about this season. So if you want to pick out a player or a team who you're most excited to watch in Serie A this season.
For me, the team I'm probably most excited to watch this season, and it's a little bit of a cliched answer, but it's going to have to be Atalanta, because as Kenny said, this season could be anyone's season, and maybe this is finally the year where I'm doing air quotes, the small Bergamo club finally jump that final hurdle. And who knows, with most of the other clubs in the top 10, besides Milan changing management and a lot of players coming in and out, maybe Atalanta's solidity is going to be their one joker card. With regards to a player, I would really like Osimhen to have a phenomenal season. At times last year, he showed some real genuine spark, and he was really fun to watch, but he had COVID issues and he had a few injury issues, and that kind of meant that it was a stop-start season. And perhaps with him on the pitch, that a few more games, they might have made that final Champions League spot that they obviously lost out on the final day of the season.
Yeah, you're being generous to him, referring to those issues as just COVID issues. I think we all remember the video of him throwing around dollar bills in a nightclub when he was supposed to be social distancing. But anyway,
it's tradition. It's what we do for weddings, man.
And Kenny, who are you most excited for?
So I actually have to think about players. Although Boaz picked out Osimhen, obviously, and yes, he did have the COVID / video incident, but I mean, he also had troubles with injuries as well. So it would be great to see him kind of have an extended run, and what we did see of him when he was kind of in full flight was genuinely really exciting. In terms of teams that I'm excited about, I mean, yes, I'm excited to see Milan again. I'm excited to see what they do with Giroud up top, because I always like watching him, despite the fact that he played for Arsenal and Chelsea for so many years. But Milan, Atalanta. I'm obviously excited to see what Sarri can do with Lazio, but I guess two of the more sort of wild cards for me. I'm genuinely quite excited to see what Juric can do with Torino. He did an incredible job, as most of our listeners will know, with Verona. And I think in Torino, he's going to one of the great historical, clubs in Italian football. And if he can work the kind of job there that he worked at Verona, it would be fantastic to see Torino back up in the sort of upper echelons of the Italian game, in the upper reaches of the Italian game, I should say. The other one, pod favorite, Vincenzo Italiano, Fiorentina. Again, he's worked wonders everywhere he's been, really. And you look at that Fiorentina squad, and I think even under Prandelli turned it around last season, but even under Prandelli, they didn't really quite live up to their potential. So I'm genuinely excited to see what you can get out of that squad. I mean, when you've got players like Castrovilli, if they can keep hold of Vlahovic, they've got Milenkovic at the back. I mean, there are some really top players there. So it'd be great to see Torino and Fiorentina hopefully climb the table a little bit this season.
Yeah, great picks, and we'll be talking about Fiorentina's game of the weekend after this. Should just add a little caveat for any new listeners. Kenny doesn't just hate Chelsea and Arsenal as an Atalanta fan. Both Kenny and I are Tottenham Hotspur supporters, which you would pick up soon if I didn't tell you. So best to just get that one out of the way. Yeah, great picks. The other one I was going to highlight is Sarri at Lazio. I think it's going to be just really interesting to see that team under Sarri. Perhaps a little bit less direct than they were under Inzaghi, a bit more possession based. We'll have to see. Sarri's teams tend to be quite different anyway. But yeah, just really looking forward to see what he does with those players. They were a joy to watch last season. And just to look at it from the other side, who are we most scared for, Boaz? Either a team that might face relegation or just seriously underperform, miss out on their goals this season?
I'll be honest, I'm not really sure what Bologna do. What is their purpose in life? They just lost a game against Ternana, I believe, in the early rounds of the Coppa Italia, which is kind of unheard of for a Serie A team, particularly as we've mentioned in past episodes that the Coppa Italia is kind of set up in a way so that the top teams are unlikely to lose. The players brought in, Arnautovic, he had a decent Euro, but it's not like you're going to build your whole team around him, or at least I don't think so. He might surprise me. There's a lot of young talent there, but I feel that the team hasn't really progressed from last season. And as much as I like Sinisa Mihajlovic, last season often they were kind of idealists.
And what's your pick, Kenny? Who are you most fearful for?
My picks are, to a certain extent, the reverse of the ones that I said as my exciting ones. So Verona, now that Juric has left, Verona under Di Francesco, I'm a bit worried for. Spezia under Thiago Motta, a bit worried for that. Thiago Motta seems, by all accounts, like a nice guy, but he hasn't had the best of times managing, Genoa, for example. Also, a little bit worried for Udinese without De Paul, and when we knew that De Paul was leaving, and also obviously Musso going to Atalanta was a huge blow. But I do have to say, I think they've found an excellent replacement for Musso in Silvestri, which also, I guess, spells a little bit of trouble for Verona and Spezia. But also, I wouldn't be particularly confident or comfortable if I was an Udinese fan.
Yeah. I just have to add to that, as a Spurs fan, as I've just mentioned, that I'm just very scared for Roma, based on recent results. I think Roma fans have got a lot to worry about. And I mean, getting sent off in a preseason friendly, was it before or after four other players had been dismissed? I'm not sure, but just...
So there was a mass riot in the game against Betis, and also there was kind of a slightly smaller riot in the game against Porto, where Jose Mourinho's old mate Pepe went in very late on Mkhitaryan, and then there was a big argy-bargy, and the legend that is Jose Mourinho was seen smiling on the side of the pitch, enjoying the spectacle. So I think regardless of how Roma perform on the pitch, it's going to be a really exciting season for non-Roma fans, and who knows, maybe he can find some of that spark.
Yeah, I think Roma, of all the clubs in Serie A, probably needed that sort of nasty streak, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what they said about Spurs, and look how it ended up. Anyway, let's not dwell on that. But let's talk about Roma's weekend game, because Roma Fiorentina is probably the pick of the weekend games. That's the late kickoff on Sunday. So definitely be watching that one and reporting back to you next week. What are the sort of main themes going into this game? Obviously, two new managers. Boaz, who would you what are you expecting from their approaches?
It's kind of a hard game to predict, exactly because the two managers are new, and not only are they new managers, but they bring in completely different styles to their predecessors. If we have to look at their past body of work, you'd have to imagine that our good friend Vinny Italian will choose a more attacking formation, and kind of, let's call it, a more entertaining formation, whereas Mourinho will be more pragmatic, particularly as they've just played a game in Europe, and therefore will be slightly more tired than their opposition.
Oh yeah, we should say that they won, didn't they?
They won 2-1 with a 81st minute goal from new signing Shomorodov, who is a Uzbek player signed from Genoa with not much fanfare, but him and Tammy Abrams are expected to lead the line. Anyway, going back to what I said, I expect it to be a really good game, and I expect Mourinho to get his team up for it. It's not going to be pretty from Roma, but I wouldn't be surprised if, because it's a home game, if they were to go on and win it.
Yeah, and we should mention as well that Zaniolo is likely to be back and available for the game, which is an exciting prospect, isn't it, Kenny?
Absolutely, yes. And obviously, as many Azzurri fans were, I was absolutely gutted that he missed out on the chance to play at the Euros. Great to have him back. I should probably actually have flagged him as one of the sort of exciting players that I'm looking forward to seeing. Hopefully, he does get back to where he was before. But I'm not sure that I would say it's not pretty. I mean, I still think Roma retain a lot of the sort of, they might not have Dzeko leading the line, but they retain a lot of the sort of qualities that they had under Fonseca. I know that they also had failings as well. I guess that's touching on what we mentioned earlier. That's what Mourinho's been brought in to kind of iron out. I genuinely do not know what to expect from this game, though. Like I said, Fiorentina have for the years underperformed, but yeah, it's kind of the game of the weekend, really. There's obviously the speculation going around about Vlahovic. Latest is that he's, they're really kind of pulling out Comiso's pulling out all the stops to try and get him to commit. But certainly you expect he's not going to be Well, no, I wouldn't say you expect that he's not going to be fully focused, but you could understand if he wouldn't when you kind of hear about the sort of eye-watering sums that are going around to kind of draw him away. I don't know what to expect really from this game.
Who's in for Vlahovic at the moment? Looks like either City, Spurs, maybe Atletico has also been mentioned, haven't they?
Those were the three main ones that seem to kind of keep cropping up.
And those are all Super League clubs.
But yeah, I mean, Roma obviously have transfer dealings of their own. We've mentioned Tammy Abraham is coming in, and it looks like Pedro has left. He's now confirmed with Lazio.
Yeah, he didn't move far.
We were speculating before it was confirmed whether he was trying to get away from Mourinho, but led Boaz to posing the question of who we'd rather play for out of Mourinho and Sarri. Did you come to a conclusion on that, Boaz? Who do you think you'd prefer to play under?
I think it depends. Are we talking about golden era Mourinho or recent Mourinho? Because I get the feeling that players don't really want to be around Mourinho at the moment, and I'm really hoping that will change at Roma. But in the past, it looked like his players were willing to run through a wall for him. So maybe I'd pick Mourinho when he was a winning manager, and I'd probably pick Sarri nowadays just because the football he plays is very exciting. Although, if I'm not mistaken, the training is said to be rather boring.
Yeah,
he wasn't very popular with the players at Chelsea, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, or
other than Jorginho or at Juve.
Yeah, I mean, for that reason, if I was a player, I think I would rather play for Mourinho, so long as you can stay on the right side of him, basically. Because otherwise he has a tendency to kind of hang you out to dry.
As long as you're not in the role of the lamb that Mourinho throws out to the press at every club.
Luke Shaw, for example.
Luke Shaw, Balotelli. There's always one.
Dele Alli.
Yeah, I think I would rather play for Mourinho with that caveat.
Okay. Well, we should do a quick roundup of other transfer business that has been going on. European champion Locatelli confirmed to Juventus. It looks like Florenzi's going to Milan. Deal's almost done. Maybe Bakayoko heading that way as well. Any
European champion Florenzi.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Can't do it for everyone. I guess I could.
The Bakayoko deal is it's not clear yet, but obviously he spent a season at Milan 2 seasons ago. I'm not really sure he's what the club needs, but managers in Italy seem to like him. So he obviously does something that I haven't noticed yet.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Napoli, he had his moments, didn't he? I seem to remember a crazy red card. I couldn't just try to pick it out of my head at the moment. I can't remember which game it was, but in general, I think he did pretty well for Napoli last season, and I think Milan in that sort of central midfield role. If you've got Kessie and Benacer and Tonali, I kind of feel like maybe he kind of brings something that those three don't have. I don't know. Maybe I'm going off on one here, but I can see it. I can see that he kind of adds depth. I'm not sure that he would be starting in that Milan side.
Yeah, and we should also just briefly mention Serie A newcomers Salernitana have signed both our good friend Simi and Ruggeri from Atalanta, so I'd be interested to see them in action. Also, Cutrone to Empoli, and European champion Emerson moves from Chelsea to Lyon. That's all in transfer news. We should also mention that De Zerbi, who we mentioned earlier, is now managing Shakhtar, and they managed to win their first Champions League pre-qualifier. So maybe at some point, Buzz, we'll be covering him in the next section, which is Keeping Up with the Italians.
What is this section?
Keeping Up with the Italians is a section devised and previously presented by Boaz, where we keep up with all of the Italians abroad, as in all of the Italian teams playing abroad. This season, we're also going to keep up with Italian players playing abroad sometimes. So it's a bit of a mishmash section. But there aren't many teams playing abroad this week, are there, Buzz? But do you have anything to tell us about Roma's opponents?
We briefly mentioned earlier that Roma were playing Trabzonspor from the Turkish city of Trabzon, situated on the Black Sea coast of northeast Turkey. an area not only known for its football club but also for its hazelnut. And it's important for everyone to know that according to TripAdvisor, in the top 15 attractions that Trabzon has to offer, there's a shopping center. So if you're ever in the area, please go to Forum Trabzon, which is very highly rated, 4 stars. And that's it for this section this week.
Any particularly big McDonald's there? Or no,
there is no McDonald's, just a bunch of monasteries and stuff like that. It's obviously not on a par with Donetsk, which I think has the biggest McDonald's in Europe or something. The third biggest McDonald's in Europe.
Okay.
We'll be bringing you more facts like that.
Yeah, well, you never know. If they best Roma, maybe I'll get to visit it when Spurs play them in the European Conference League.
Considering Roma won 2-1 away today, it looks like this dream of yours is not going to happen. And
I'll have to settle for the Colosseum instead.
But it was mentioned by Mourinho that this was a bit of almost like a Champions League tie, since both clubs have featured in the Europe's premier competition in the past and suddenly find themselves in this new cup, which I'm not sure how we feel about it, but it feels a bit Mickey Mouse to me.
Well, I can report that none of the Italians that I'm monitoring at Spurs actually played at the weekend, but we'll be keeping an eye on them as and when they make their way into the squad. And that's all for keeping up with the Italians. Let's just have a few quick honourable and dishonourable mentions. I'd like to first just give an honourable to Prandelli. It's his birthday. Happy birthday. For more information about his career, please see our episode with Richard Hughes from last season, previously managed by the great man. And Kenny, you wanted to give an honourable to Inter.
Yeah, so I mean, this was one of the worst kept secrets in Italian football that Edin Dzeko was signing for Inter. I think everyone knew that it was a done deal, but nonetheless, Inter signed him, and 90 minutes later put him in their starting 11 before they had even bothered announcing that they had signed him. So that was, I guess, official confirmation by appearing on the team sheet. So yeah, I'm giving them an honourable for it. I wasn't sure if it was an honourable or a dishonourable, but I just think it's audacious.
And also, I think that's like extremely speedy admin work. I think somebody in Inter's like head office deserves an honourable. I'm not sure who it is.
Absolutely. I do like the fact that they then proceeded to make the announcement, I think, after the game on Twitter, as if it was a big shock to everyone.
And another announcement gets an honourable this week, Baz. This time, a Napoli announcement.
Yeah. Justice, courage, kindness, respect, sincerity, honour, loyalty. These are the 7 virtues of a warrior, and we are ready to celebrate all of them. This is how Napoli announced their Emporio Armani shirt, which is actually quite nice. And I kind of like the fact that they haven't gone for one of the big big companies. But that's slightly pompous, maybe a little bit too serious, but a nice shirt.
I read this on Twitter, I think. I can't remember exactly who it was that was saying it, but apparently the chairman didn't want to negotiate with like Nike or Adidas because he said they took too long, and he managed to sort this out in one day on the phone. So,
really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I don't know if that's true. Probably just spreading misinformation, but made me laugh.
I do remember De Laurentiis claiming that he was just going to set up the production himself, just set up a sportswear empire overnight. But evidently he decided against that.
He knew someone at Armani that could sort it out for him quicker. Anyway, I just wanted to give an honourable to the Inter goalkeeper, Gabriel Brazial. He's ruptured the ligament, so all the best to him. Hopefully he recovers soon.
Also because that's going to be the only mention he ever gets on this podcast.
Yeah, most likely, unfortunately true. But a man who's had many mentions on this podcast is up next, Kenny.
Yeah, this is my monthly honourable mention for Goran Pandev. We've been away for a month, and I think I gave one in the last episode. So, for Goran Pandev for agreeing to continue for another season at Genoa, and I've read he's had 473 Serie A appearances so far. So hopefully he makes it 500, and then he can get another honourable mention for that. But I'm sure he'll have plenty more within that period.
I mean, if he doesn't, you'll just give him an honourable for retiring. So he's going to get at least one more. Anyway, Boaz, you've got another honourable for us?
We've got an honourable for Firewire Antonio Cassano, who can't seem to keep his mouth shut since he's retired, and he recently claimed on Bobo TV, which is Christian Vieri's Twitch channel, that while he was on holiday in Formentera with his family, he bumped into Euro winner Jorginho, European champion Jorginho, and apparently he took him aside and he said, "Listen, Georgie, you and I both know that if you win the Ballon d'Or over Messi, it would be a huge scandal." And according to him, Jorginho completely agreed with him. But I'm not sure about this story. It sounds a bit far-fetched. He's always good quality, though.
Yeah. Maybe they had like a kick around on the beach or something. You could just assess him firsthand.
It's just the fact that Cassano's just sitting there on the beach and suddenly turns around and the first thing he says to this guy is, "Hey, it will be a scandal if you take the Ballon d'Or. What's wrong with you, man?"
How to win friends and influence people.
Yeah. Well, we've got that down as our last honourable. Maybe it should be a dishonourable.
It's an honourable for Jorginho for putting up with this stuff, and a dishonourable for Cassano.
Fair enough. This next one is almost definitely a dishonourable, though. Kenny, what's the latest on the Gasp Gomez spat?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a dishonourable. The only lack of certainty is who is it. Who are we going to attribute it to? But for me, it's all parties involved. Gomez, I think, probably just about clinches it. The dishonourable mention for this, for just because he's the one who seems to have dragged it up again. But obviously left Atalanta under acrimonious circumstances halfway through the season, went to Sevilla, and to me, he should be looking to just kind of put that in the past, but he obviously won't let it go, and came out and basically said that he kind of admitted that he openly and flagrantly ignored his coach's instructions in a game, and then said that he was accepting of the fact that he vocally ignored the instructions because he was told to play in the right wing, and he was like, "Actually, I'm playing quite well on the left, so I'm just going to stay here." But then in the changing rooms, he claimed that Gasperini then actually physically assaulted him, or attempted to physically assault him. There's been a ding-dong in the press. Gasperini or the club have said this is not true. Gomez has come out and said, "Oh, the president is, too scared," and I don't know why Gasperini is lying about this when there were 50 witnesses. And it's just like, guys, come on, we're on the verge of a new season. Gomez has got the wonderful new teammate Eric Lamela, I believe, alongside him. Let's look forward with positivity rather than getting
South American champion Gomez as well. So
South American champion.
He's got he should have other things on
exactly. I mean, I don't understand it, but it's not a good look for any of them, to be honest. On the verge of a new season as well. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, and we should just finish with a dishonourable for Cristiano Ronaldo's weird Instagram post. I'm sure most people have seen it by now. It was reported as he's staying at Juventus in some outlets. The post didn't really say that. It was just a very vague, non-committal, very long, rambling tirade against people speculating and saying that he was focused on his football. So I guess we'll see what happens.
How many times were Juventus mentioned in this post?
I'm guessing 0.
Yeah, I don't think Juventus were mentioned at all.
It was interesting timing, though, because it kind of coincided with Ancelotti saying, "I've got a lot of respect for Cristiano Ronaldo, but I have absolutely no plans to sign him. We look to the future." And then I think a day later, this post came out. So
wasn't one of his mates on Italian TV saying that he's going to Real Madrid or something like that?
Yeah, well, those were the rumors
that's where it started. Okay.
And it seemed to come hot off the heels of Ancelotti rubbishing those rumors.
Anyway, obviously, it'd be nice if Ronaldo stayed in the league, but I don't care enough to check up on his Instagram, so it's dishonourable for him.
It wouldn't be a Scudetto episode if we didn't mention the greatest player to ever breathe air.
Yeah, and we talked about Messi earlier.
Messi, yeah.
Wait, and in fact, maybe we should give a dishonourable to Messi because he didn't go to Napoli.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The Messi to Napoli campaign has unfortunately failed. So that's a dishonourable to us and also our friends and Napoli supporters across the globe.
To Napoli supporters?
Yeah.
Seems a bit harsh.
Yeah, for failing in their campaign to bring Messi to their club.
I just don't think they joined the campaign. That was the problem. We need
they didn't follow our hashtag.
Dishonourable for not following the campaign.
Exactly. Anyway, that definitely is all we've got time for this week. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please do subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere else that you get your audio. We'll speak to you again next week. Until then, enjoy the football.
Che sta decretando lo scudetto del Milan in questo preciso istante. Finita! La Juventus è campione d'Italia.